Rackman Christian Radio.
The following is a presentation from the Rackman Christian Radio Network and JW the Rackman. Welcome to Artist Spotlight with JJ Heller and Dave Heller. Here's their song, Don't Let Your Guard Down.
I can see it in your face. You're somewhere below the surface. So you hide yourself away. A masterpiece behind a curtain.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Hey man, doing great. How about you?
Well, despite the technical difficulties, I am doing pretty good today.
Nice, man.
Yeah, I started out a brand new client today for my day job, and well, I was up way too early, but you know what? I had a good day, so maybe I should get up earlier.
Yeah, it's hard if you're a night person to try to the instinct to sleep in, but I think it's worthwhile a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I am a night owl. Yes, indeed. Can't help it. Cannot help it. In fact, when I'm not doing my day job, which is an in-home health service specialist, my days off is usually sleeping in, and it takes me back to my teenage years.
Any kids?
Yes, do I have kids? Oh my gosh, yes, I have kids.
So you're fortunate if you get to sleep in and you got some kids.
Yeah, well, they're teenagers now, so guess what?
They're sleeping in along with you.
Uh-huh.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Oh, well, finally you say hi.
Hello.
I am just honored that you could join me and that you would take the time out to speak to me. I guess you have a brand new single coming out that came out on the 21st.
Yeah, and we have a brand new record that, well, the record just released on the 21st, and the single has been going to radio for a little while too.
And what is the name of that single?
The single is called Fully Known.
Have you ever felt lost? Driving down the same road every day, and you're caught in traffic, but everyone feels 1,000 miles away. Does anyone see you? Does anyone care? Does anyone know your name? You are fully known by the author.
fantastic. The Weight Is Over, the sound of a living heart. Where did this come from? I mean, I took a little history lesson about you guys, and you don't just sit down and go, oh, let's do this and let's do that. This is actually, you write from the heart and from perspectives of circumstances in life. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, every album is kind of like a yearbook of our lives. We tend to write a lot about what God is teaching us through each season that we go through, and this past year or two, it just feels like the Lord is calling me specifically kind of out of a fearful place that's kind of my default to living a wholehearted life, just ready to embrace adventure rather than bracing for impact. And so that's kind of a theme that runs through this.
So I see titles like Let Down Your Guard. Then there's Fully Known that we're going to be talking about. Father Daughter Dance, and then some Worship, Holy Ground. I mean, this just sounds like a fully rounded project.
Yeah, I mean, the entire record kind of has the theme of making yourself vulnerable so that you can live a wholehearted life. And so it begins with a song that's really the voice of God talking to us, saying, I am a safe place for you. You can be yourself. You don't have to keep your walls up, and embrace living life rather than just existing. And then through the rest of the songs in the middle of the record, we're kind of exploring different aspects of what that life ends up looking like. And by the end of the album, the title track is Sound of a Living Heart, and it's talking from our perspective, just saying, you know what, we have a choice to hide ourselves away, or embracing the risk that it is to experience love and life to the fullest. And so it ends with kind of a resolve that's saying, this is the sound of a heart that is fully alive.
So let's go ahead and back up a little bit. What brought you to this place that you would create an album that tells that story?
That's a good question. I feel like several years ago, we went through a time of a lot of loss and grieving, and so our songs kind of reflected that sentiment. And then just over the past couple of years, it's been more of a time of joy and celebration. And so I feel like as I've moved past crisis mode, I've been able to be a little bit more self-reflective and just realize that, man, I've just been living in this place where I'm just waiting for the next bad thing to happen, instead of enjoying the present moment. And it just feels like, for whatever reason, the Lord has just really put that on my heart. I think it's also been a reflection of some of the books we've been reading, like Love Does by Bob Goff, and A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. Just kind of this concept about living your life in such a way that you're telling a good story, and that you're not just kind of going through the motions and surviving from one day to the next, but you're taking on adventures and taking risks and enjoying what God has given you.
I find it interesting that we as humans, we go through this time that you just gave some information about and the vulnerability of it. And I've been in the middle of stuff like that, death in the family, financial crises, teenage kids not following God, wife being sick, whatever, you name it. And you get so caught up in the middle of it. And then God comes through, literally leading you straight to where he intended to take you in the first place, but you were so blinded by what you were in the middle of. And I can't help but think, as many times as I've been through that cycle, I always get to the end of that cycle going, Lord, why did I even do that? Why did I even think that? And he's just so patient. And yet sometimes I wish I could learn the lesson so I wouldn't have to keep going through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, I think we all do.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let's talk about the song Fully Known and the story behind that.
Sure. Well, when I was in college, I went through this really, okay, let me back up. My idea of what college was going to be like was I thought I was going to go and I was going to be really awesome on the basketball team because I was going to play basketball my freshman year of college, and I thought I was going to be best friends with my roommate, and we were going to share clothes, and it was going to be amazing, and I was going to have this really great social life and make all these new friends, and I went to college, which 4 hours away from my family, and none of those things happened. And it was this year of feeling really lonely and overlooked, and it didn't feel like anyone knew me or even cared to know me. And I had never really experienced that in my life up to that point. And even though it was the loneliest time of my life, it was also a time where I felt like the Lord was so gracious to me, and I really drew near to him because I didn't really have anybody else. And it was in that time that he reminded me that even if nobody else noticed me, even if nobody else knew my name, that he does, that the creator of the universe knows who I am, and he knows my every thought. And so I was just thinking about that time and how I think most people at one time or another experience that feeling of, hey, does anybody even know that I'm alive? Like, are they appreciating my contribution to society? And so it's just a reminder to the mom who's just carting her kids around in the minivan all day, or to the man who was overlooked for a promotion at work, just that we are fully known by the author of space and time. And that concept just kind of blows my mind, that God would be interested in us and love us that much.
Yes, and that you've brought something up again, and I'll since you're being vulnerable, I'll be vulnerable. We'll just do an exchange here. Just that, Lord, does anybody even know what I'm doing? Do they even care?
Right.
Should I even be doing this? I mean, is this something? And it's amazing because that turns into that can really turn into a pride thing, because now you're seeking the approval of others. If I could just get so many people to get involved in what I'm doing, then it would be great. And the Lord stops me every time and says, it's me that you need to be relying on. It is never a person that you turn to for your answers. And I'm like, ouch, Lord. But what about this? What about that? And he says, just wait. Just be at peace. Just rest. And I've got to tell you, in the time that I've been doing this and building up this station and connecting with artists like yourself and trying to get you guys out there and presented, as well as ministry, because to me it's not just about the music, it's about who you guys are. As I've been trying to do that, I've had to rely on the Lord to give me answers that no man could give me. I've faced challenges that I could not have gone through because I don't have a book on this. I don't have a guide that says, okay, when you're going to do this, this is how you do it. And when this happens, this is how you fix it. And that is so important that we reach a place, not that I've reached it, but that we start reaching a place as Christians where we're vulnerable to God, to listen to his voice and to trust him that he is there, even when it looks like social media is completely dead.
Right. Yeah. To just be faithful in what we feel like he's called us to do and just leave the outcome in his hands.
And I feel like the song actually ends up exploring two sides of of being fully known, because on the one hand, there's the potential to be working away very hard, kind of in the background and not being noticed. But then the other side of the spectrum is if somebody knows all of your faults and the good, the bad, and the ugly, there is a question there that is, will someone still find me lovable, even if they knew all of the mistakes that I made? And the amazing thing about the love of God is that He things and is able to redeem them, the unknown and fully known.
Amen, guys. That's great. That's great stuff. Thank you.
And no problem. We wrote a song about it.
You did. That's awesome. It's already ministering to me. What can I say?
I'm on internet, Rattman Christian Radio.
So we've talked about Let Down Your Guard. We've talked about Fully Known. Let's jump to the end of that chapter and talk about the story behind Sound of the Living Heart.
Several years ago, about the time that Dave and I got married, so 12 years ago, I was experiencing a ton of anxiety and getting panic attacks multiple times a day, and it was something that kind of kept coming. And so I would pray that God would just take them all away immediately, because it was just so scary. Because I would just be sitting in my living room, and all of a sudden my heart would start racing, and my fingers would go numb, and I felt dizzy, like I was going to pass out, and I just had this overwhelming sense of fear. And I couldn't figure out, even though I knew it was a panic attack, I couldn't figure out how to just make it go away. And so it turned into this thing where eventually I didn't even want to leave my house. And I remember touring during that time, and we were driving to most of our gigs in that season of life. And I remember that Dave would try to point out things to me as we were driving, like, look at that beautiful waterfall, or look at this awesome bridge. And I couldn't even appreciate it, because I was so inside my own head. And these fearful thoughts were just circling around like a tornado. And then eventually, like, slowly, the Lord pulled me out of that season, and I was able to experience life again. And so this song is kind of like a testimony in that sense of where the Lord has brought me, but at the same time, like, where my default is still to go to that place of fear. But I'm learning, like, day by day, moment by moment, to choose to embrace the life that God has set out before me, knowing that there will be failure, but trusting that He will bring me through it, and knowing that in the end, it's worth the risk in order to live life fully that He's set out before me.
I could hide myself away somewhere safe, far from pain. But if I refuse to feel, I'll never bleed, but I'll never heal. I hear Jesus calling me out of the grave I've been sleeping in, with new lungs I'll begin again, lift my voice and sing my part. This is the sound of a living heart. I have found a better life, a hero and a cause. Every tear will be redeemed in the hands of God. I hear Jesus calling me out of the grave I've been sleeping in. With new lungs I'll begin again. Lift my voice and sing my part. This is the sound of a living heart. Out of the grave I've been sleeping in. With new lungs I'll begin again. Lift my voice and sing my part. This is the sound of a living heart. This is the sound of a living heart.
You brought up something interesting that I'd like to bring out as well, and that is the Word of God says that in our weakness He is made strong, or vice versa. In our weakness we're made strong through Him. And like you said, there's a default to go back to what our mind and what our fear wants us to think. But to actually release ourselves into a place where we're trusting God and we're making ourselves vulnerable. So I think I would be correct in saying that this CD project is a project of vulnerability, starting with the problem and walking through it till you as a person acknowledge who God is in your life and where you can go from there. I think that's important when you're probably performing in front of audiences, or if you're involved in any kind of public ministry, whether it's on radio or in a church setting, making yourself vulnerable to the people in front of you, not putting all the dirty laundry out there, but being honest about where you're coming from. Because I think what our society and probably what our churches are missing right now is authenticity.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's definitely just an idea that's kind of permeating the culture at the moment that that you want to put your best foot forward when it comes to presenting yourself on Facebook or Instagram, and everything is sort of edited and polished, and it's not necessarily acknowledging that that everybody is flawed, and yet, well, to embrace that flawed life and still be able to live in appreciation of all that comes along with that. I think in addition to that, when we're trying to present the best version of ourself, at least the outward version of ourself, that's actually a way of hyper-focusing on ourselves instead of actually focusing on others, which is what the gospel calls us to do, is to love other people. And so the second verse of the song says, I found a better life. I found a story that's better than just focusing on my own safety and my own personal interests. But I'm going to look out for the interests of others, and in that, find a better life.
I'm on into Redman Christian Radio.
Well, what I'd like to do before we go is to find out how people can get a hold of you, your website, if you're on Twitter, Instagram, and where they can get this awesome CD project.
Yeah, jjheller.com is the best place to start. There are links there to all of our social media. But on Twitter, I'm JJ Heller. On Facebook, it's JJ Heller Music. And Instagram is JJ Heller as well.
I think Instagram's JJ Heller Music.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But we make a ton of video comment, too, so you can find that on YouTube, or jjheller.com has a video player there as well where you can see all of the new video content that we're putting out. And then the latest record can be purchased from the website or from iTunes or Amazon, and actually many brick-and-mortar Christian bookstores have JJ's new record in stock as well. So you can call in advance, make sure that they have it before you make the drive.
All right. Well, any final thoughts, comments, or questions before we go?
Well, I actually wanted to talk very briefly about one other song on the record. It is called Father-Daughter Dance.
Yes.
This new record is a collection of songs that largely are a new kind of perspective for JJ's music, a lot of sort of pop, rhythm-focused tracks that still have a lot of the same heart, but it's
just presented in a different way.
Yeah, but it did feel like there was a little bit of a hole when we were songwriting for the record, and a lot of the most moving songs that JJ's written tend to be story songs, and we didn't have one. And I stumbled across a story about this amazing woman, Angela, who lives in Virginia, and she puts on these events to connect little girls with their fathers in the inner city. And it's just a way to develop better relationships and connection within families so that fathers can be better fathers and girls are connected with the rest of their family. And right before one of these dances, one of the girls chimed up and said, "I can't go to this next dance because my dad's in jail." And what they ended up doing was writing a letter to the local sheriff and be able to have an event in the prison. And the sheriff said, anytime there's an opportunity to connect inmates with their families, I want to be a part of it because it means that they will care enough to hopefully not come back. And so he agreed to have this event and invited about 20 girls to come in and be a part of this dance with the prison inmates, and it was this amazing evening. Girls connecting with their dads and guards forgetting that they were there with the prisoners and they're doing the electric slide, and everyone's just kind of like forgetting where they are for a moment. But at the end of the night, the prisoners had some time to reflect after the girls all went home. They had about an hour to sit and reflect. And as they were, one of the prisoners stood up in front of all the guys and said, "You know what? We watched all of these girls walk out of our lives, and it's because of bad choices that we've made, and I want to bring my daughter to another dance, and I want to be the one to drive her home." And it was just this amazing story that we felt we had to write a song about. And so we're really, really happy with the way that it turned out. Matt Hammett from the band Sanctus Real lent his voice to the album version of the song, and it's been really moving a lot of listeners so far.
The father-daughter dance was only 2 weeks away. They asked her if she was planning to go. The only thing she could say was, "My daddy is not around. He's locked in a jail on the outskirts of town. I wish we could dance on that Saturday night, but I'll have to turn it down, 'cause my daddy is not around.
The little girl wrote to the sheriff. Her request was unusual. Would you be willing to put on a dance, since my father cannot come to school?
My daddy is not around. He's locked in your jail on the outskirts of town. I wish we could dance on that Saturday night. Please don't make me turn it down, 'cause my daddy is not around.
The dance was held at the prison. Her dad wore a shirt and tie. He told her, "You look like a princess to me. May I have this dance tonight?" And their feet never touched the ground. They forgot where they were on the outskirts of town. They were dancing together on a Saturday night. He spun her around and around, and their feet never touched the ground.
After the final song played and the school bus drove away, alone in the dark, his heart broken in two, her daddy began to pray.
Dear Jesus, my girl needs her dad around, not locked in a jail on the outskirts of town. Then we could dance every Saturday night. I don't want to let her down.
Well, I am so very appreciative of you guys both being here today on the Artist Spotlight for JJ Heller. And again, jjheller.com is where you can find out more about her and Dave's ministry and their new CD that you can get a hold of, Sound of a Living Heart. Wow, guys, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us. Hey, thank you. We really appreciate it.
We hope and pray that you enjoyed this time of our Artist Spotlight with Dave and JJ Heller. Rackman Christian Radio is a listener-supported ministry. We are licensed to play Christian music, and we pay royalties to the artists that we play. If you'd like to support our ministry, here are a couple of messages that we'd like to share with you for your consideration. Thank you again. Looking for a way to make a difference? Here are some ways that you can support Rackman Christian Radio. Give a small monthly gift to our ministry by going to rackmanchristianradio.org, then click Contribute. This is one of the number one ways that people give and let us know each month that they love and support our ministry. But most of all, pray for us. Hi, this is JW the Rack Man, and I have a message for you. We know that there are many good Christian stations out there on the web, but ask yourself this question. Is my internet station licensed to broadcast? Does your favorite station support the very artists that you hear? If not, changes are coming to internet radio that could take yours away. We bring you eclectic blends of pop, rock, CCM, classic CCM, praise and worship, songs of encouragement, southern gospel, black gospel, holy hip-hop, and unique, powerful ministry programs. We are currently licensed to play around the world into 102 countries now. So I want to challenge you. Take a listen. Make a one-week switch and hear the difference of relationship and support from the best in the music industry. The Internet's home to eclectic blends of Christian music and powerful programming. with 3 live, authentic shows that you can only hear at rackmanchristianradio.org and selected licensed radio stations. So in advance, we want to thank you so much for what you do to make our station the best. Sincerely, the Rackman. Hi, this is JW the Rackman, and I have a message for you. We know that there are many good Christian stations out there on the web, but ask yourself this question. Is my internet station licensed to broadcast? Does your favorite station support the very artists that you hear? If not, changes are coming to internet radio that could take yours away. We bring you eclectic blends of pop, rock, CCM, classic CCM, praise and worship, songs of encouragement, southern gospel, black gospel, holy hip-hop, and unique powerful ministry programs. We are currently licensed to play around the world into 102 countries now. So I want to challenge you. Take a listen. Make a one-week switch and hear the difference of relationship and support from the best in the music industry. The Internet's home to eclectic blends of Christian music and powerful programming with 3 live, authentic shows that you can only hear at rackmanchristianradio.org and selected licensed radio stations. So in advance, we want to thank you so much for what you do to make our station the best. Sincerely, the Rackman.
I'm on internet, Rackman Christian Radio.